Varmt välkomna tillbaka till Aktiedagen i Stockholm. 21 bolag presenterar sig och gör det förhoppningsvis lite lättare för er som är investerare att fatta era beslut. Och är det någonting som du känner att du saknar i presentationen eller skulle vilja nagla lite mer, glöm inte bort att det går alldeles utmärkt att ställa lite frågor till exempel, och enklast genom att gå in på YouTube och där söka upp Aktiespararna, och då kommer ni hitta det här eventet allra överst. Då kan ni följa presentationerna där och skriva in frågor där. Nästa bolag kommer att presentera på engelska, men om du känner för att skriva frågor på svenska går det förstås minst lika bra. Med det sagt I will switch to English, and it's been time to introduce and say a warm welcome also to CEO Francois Martelet, who's the CEO of Oasmia Pharmaceutical. So we are looking forward to a presentation, and the stage is yours, Francois.
Good morning, Linda. Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you for this invitation. Always a pleasure to present at Aktiedagen. Right, so this is a forward-looking statement slide that I will not ask you to read. So before we jump into the core of the presentation, I would like to step back a little bit and explain why cancer is actually a growing global health emergency. If you look at the number of new cases last year, it's around 20 million people affected by cancer, moving to, in 20 years from now, to 30 million new cases. So that translates into a global oncology market that is extremely significant, moving up from $120 billion to over the 222 billion US dollars. So, talking about oncology as such, so where are we at Oasmia? We are building a sustainable global oncology business. And if you want to do so, you need to have, obviously, at least two things. First, you need to have strong in-house level of capabilities, regulatory, development, partnering. I will come back to that. And at the same time, you need to have a portfolio, obviously, and addressing a number of oncology targets. And I will come back to that as well. At Oasmia, we have an emerging oncology pipeline focused on how to treat, and I insist on this, how to treat cancers and late-stage cancers with a number of limited options, such as Cantrixil intraperitoneal administration. We are listed on the Nasdaq Stockholm Stock Exchange. Market cap is around 1.3, 1.4 billion Swedish kronor. We do have, at the opposite of many other small oncology company, an R&D, a research and development lab facility in Uppsala. And I joined the company in March 2020. Right, so continuing on this thought, building a global sustainable oncology business. So we have currently two lines of business. We have a first line, which I would entitle R&D, which is basically consisting of our emerging portfolio that we are developing, Cantrixil, docetaxel micellar. And at the same time, we have also what I would call a commercial line, consisting of revenues, expected revenues, and milestone streams from our out-licensed program and technologies, Apealea with Elevar in the US, XR17 also licensed out with Apealea to Elevar, and under development XR18 and 19. Right, emerging oncology portfolio does provide a basis for future growth. So Cantrixil is now moving into phase 2 early next year. I will explain why. We have got successful. We have licensed this compound from a small Australian biotech company called Kazia Therapeutics, and recently we have been confirming the result of the phase 1. So that's excellent, good pick. Docetaxel micellar is currently enrolling into the phase 1 in Switzerland. Then we have our animal health portfolio, more for partnering opportunities. Right, this slide is a little bit complicated, I'm sorry for that. It does explain what I would call our commercial line of business, where we have Apilia, which has been approved in Europe, licensed out to Elevar, and then for commercialization purposes. And then we have Ovarian in the US, the same indication, that is currently under development, moving into phase 2B/3. At the same time, and I put the technology platform on this slide as well, because obviously XR17 has been licensed out with Apilia for commercialization purposes. But at the same time, we are developing XR18, 19. 18 is a next generation that addresses a number of shortfalls of the XR17. XR19 solubilization platform for dual encapsulation, and we will be reporting the progress with these two platform technology by year-end, as exactly as I was promising to the market a little while ago. At the same time, we're working with Karolinska Institute with regard to the technology platform. We have great hopes that our colleagues and the experts at Karolinska will help us to move those projects forward. Right, building capabilities without a strong team is basically useless. So I think we could all agree on that. And on this slide, I would like to emphasize that beside our CFO, CBO, CSO, we have been able to very recently to strengthen significantly on the clinical development side with the appointment of Kia Bengtsson, Head of Clinical Development, Joanna Rostin, Head of Regulatory Affairs, joining us from 1st of October and reporting to our CMO, Heidi Ramstad. This is extremely important, and people may think, well, you're adding cost. Well, not really. We are building capabilities in order to drive potential success. And otherwise, we cannot outsource everything, and we are not a virtual company. Right, so this is what I would call the Oasmia 2.0. The transformation process that I initiated and led since I joined the company is now in a, let's say, ending phase. We have a crystal clear strategy in order to drive growth for the next 2 years. First of all, we need to expand our portfolio with multiple shots on the goal, and I'll come back to that. 2, we need to execute on the development of our strategy and execute on the clinical development, Cantrixil, docetaxel, micellar. This is what we are doing. 3, leverage our drug delivery technology platform, which means developing the platform further. And finally, obviously, with our commercial deal, maximizing the value, the commercial value of Apilia in the US, but also in Europe. Right, this slide is quite important and does address the same issue, but from another angle. If you want to build a global sustainable oncology business, you need to have or to target a number of sub-therapeutic assets. So this is what I would call multi-mechanism of action portfolio. To do so, you need to have all the skills, all the capabilities that I have been building over the past 18 months, such as regulatory, clinical, product development, business development, and partnering. So that does fit quite well the picture. String of Pearl. So the String of Pearl strategy is what I have launched as a project, but it's not only a buzzword. This is really what we will be doing, So to build critical mass. How do we do this? Well, we are screening the whole market, not only the Nordics, but also in Europe, in order to find compounds ranging from preclinical up to phase 2. It doesn't mean that we are excluding to market or to go to registration those drugs. It means that usually when you complete a phase 2B successfully, then you are building a lot of equity value in oncology. But I want certainly to say that my preference will be to acquire compounds from phase 1B onwards with validation and move them into phase 2, potentially phase 3 as well. Right, and this is exactly what these slides materialize. So completing successfully a phase 2b in oncology create really a huge value. I have listed just two examples here, Genmab with AbbVie antibody, and Seegene with Merck in the US as well. Well, okay, where are we with Cantrixil? Cantrixil is starting the phase 2. We will be starting the phase 2 H2 next year. Then you will tell me, well, how come, you have licensing in the compound in March 21? How come you can only start in H2 2022? Well, basically, we need to negotiate a number of supply agreements with Cantrixil, with different partners. The production, the drug substance of Cantrixil is not particularly easy. We need to have a couple of, at least 2 or 3 supplier. So that is what takes time. Okay. Cantrixil targeting ovarian cancer. That was the reason why KGI Therapeutics licensed it out to us, because we have this expertise with Apealea in ovarian cancer. The interesting piece is that this is a tubulin small molecule, first in class, potent cytotoxicity against CD44 ovarian cancer stem cell, resistant to chemotherapy. We have an orphan drug designation with the FDA. We have a very strong patent protection with Cantrixil. And clearly, what we are doing since we acquired that compound is to build up a world-class clinical advisory board. This is important. We are gathering experts from all over the world in order to get proper advice on the design of the phase 2 and phase 3 potentially. Then we will go to the regulatory bodies, FDA, EMEA. And then, as I said earlier, securing the drug supply is essential. If you don't have a drug, then you cannot perform a clinical trial. And then I can assure you that the start of the trial will be H2 2022. Right, docetaxel micellar. A few words about this. Performing the phase 1b is ongoing with the Swiss Cancer Clinical Research Group. They came to us, so we are quite proud about that. It's an open labels trial, single stage, 3 major hospitals in Switzerland, 18 patients. Completion time frame is expected end of next year. And, docetaxel is the brand name Taxotere. And obviously, by using docetaxel micellar, you avoid all the solvents. So that will be the only chemophore-free that will be we use down the road. So great potential as well. Apealea, a few words about Apealea, because beside the fact that we have managed to have a global commercialization with Elevar in the US, a few words because it's important to remember that this is the only chemophore-free product that is approved in late-stage ovarian cancer. And that addresses a number of patients that cannot tolerate Taxol, as simple as this. For a number of reasons, pre-existing condition and so on and so forth. So no use of corticoids with Apealea. And this formulation is free of alcohol and also oil as well. And if you look at the competition, we have a favorable competitive profile compared to other compounds. Right. In terms of progress with regard to commercialization, Elevar didn't have any presence in Europe, so Elevar managed to secure a deal with Inceptua to commercialize Apealea in Europe. We still have the rights in Russia and CIS, and if you look at the whole picture, you would expect that we would also find a partner for Apealea in Russia and CIS. Tanner Pharma is the named patient program covering not only actually ex-US, but also Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. And discussions are ongoing in Asia. So this is where we stand with regard to the commercialization of Inceptua. And I will come back to that in a minute. Yes. So So the EU marketing authorization transfer, big name to say that we will need to transfer the authorization from us to Eleva and from Eleva to Inceptura. That is to some extent a time-consuming process. Should be finished end of 2021, this year, beginning of next year. And Eleva, through Inceptura, will launch Apealea UK and Germany during the first semester 2022, Switzerland during the second part of 22, and then the launches, a cascade of launches in the other countries in Europe will happen, depending, of course, on the pricing and reimbursement discussions that would need to happen. Apealea development update in the US. This is a slide from Eleva. So Eleva has decided to work with the what we call the GOG, which is the Gynecological Oncology Group Foundation, and this is the best group you can find in the world with regard to the treatment or the clinical trials setting for ovarian. So Eleva plans to seek feedback of the FDA early next year prior to initiating any clinical study, including the PK plan and the phase 2/3 that will follow. There is some delay linked to the reorganization at Eleva, linked also to the strategy on how to best develop the best label that will allow us to be superior to Taxol. And that's an important piece that Eleva is working on in order to really to have the best label that they can get that will lead to a superior commercial competitive situation. And Eleva intends to file an IND for Apealea during the first quarter of 2022. Right, so if I look back on the significant events during the last quarter, fundamentally two things, it's building on the staff people, internally, at the board level as well. Andrea Buscaglia has been appointed as a board level. We have filled in a number of critical positions internally, and the focus is on execution of our trials, docetaxel micellar, and the Cantrixil phase 1, the final data presented successfully at a key meeting in oncology, and of course, continue evaluating, screening the market, and perform due diligence on other opportunities, in particular with the investment banks as well. Key figures on the last quarter. So I'm pleased to confirm that we are still in a position to show savings of approximately 100 million SEK per year following the restructuring of the company. The cash burn rate is between 10 and 12 million SEK per month, which is also according to expectations. And in terms of cash and cash equivalent, we are at close to 180 million SEK at the end of the quarter, which will be enough to run operations. And of course, for future acquisitions, we will be looking at financial alternatives. Right, something quite important to notice as well is the environmental social governance plan. This is a key issue, even in the biotech industry. And we at Oasmia are taking this very seriously. We have been helped by an external expert. We have designed a plan. The plan is now ready. We have already started to implement some of the plans, such as code of conduct, employee handbook, whistleblower policy, and so on. Also in the lab, a number of new instructions that we are implementing. And I will come back to that a bit later on during the few months and years in order to update you on that. This is very important for our investors as well. Looking ahead, well, clearly, my first priority is to continue evaluating, screening the market, performing due diligence in order to achieve this critical mass that we need if we want to become a sustainable company in oncology. This is my first priority. The team is focusing on the execution of Cantrixil, docetaxel micellar, and liaising with Eleva, Inceptua on Apelia, liaising with Eleva also on the design of the new clinical trials, and working with Karolinska on the technology platform as well. And finally, for our animal health business, continue to find a potential partner for divestment purposes. So this is what we are looking at. And I have to say that since I joined the company, we have embarked on this strategy. It has not changed, and we are pursuing it relentlessly. Linda, I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
Fantastic. Are you in some sort of transformation phase, and why? Why do you see this as necessary?
Well, it was absolutely necessary. I mean, first of all, it's always important to right size the company. But right sizing is one thing. The other piece.
Right size is the word, not downsizing.
No, it's right sizing the company.
Yes.
And then, obviously, the strategy has been reshuffled. I mean, we want to address a number of compounds in oncology. We don't want to work only with as our solubilization platform. We want to expand. We want to build. So that's what we've been doing internally, also at the board level, and then we need to execute. So that's it.
Yeah, you have quite a fascinating history. Let's not dive into that too deep. But let me ask you: is there? You've been a CEO for like 18 months now, and what is the main change that you have accomplished so far? Would you say?
Well, exactly what I said. First of all, I mean, really re-articulate the strategy, set the vision, okay, and then hire the right kind of people for the team. The board has been changed as well, and then we have started the whole implementation. So those steps, have been done in an orderly fashion.
Okay, let's take a look at the Q2 results. There's a positive thing that the sales for Apalea looks quite nice. It's for 4.6 million crowns in Q2, the net sales. Is this positive trend, is it continuing? Would you say it's sustainable? Can we see this? Can we expect this to continue?
Well, I mean, this sale of 4.6 million, yes, is linked to the potential initiation of the clinical trials in the US. Okay, so as I said, there is some delay with regard to the full commercialization of Apelia in Europe. Yeah. That will happen early next year. But at the same time, we are pleased to see that Eleva continue to build capabilities. So they are buying our inventory in order to perform their trials as well. So this is the situation. So
regarding the launch, the expected launch in Europe, you say early 2022.
Yes. Yes.
But what is the main risk? Would you say what could be? What could stop the launch?
Yeah, I mean, pricing and reimbursement are always the two key issues that one has to solve. I trust that Inceptua will do it successfully. They have the track record. They are launching product successfully in Europe, so I'm not concerned by that. And as I said earlier, Germany will be the first market, and then the UK. But again, this is not in my full control. It is in the hands of Inceptua. Okay.
But you are convinced, or how sure are you that the launch will take place in the beginning of next year?
Well, H1 is the target. Okay.
Okay, we have a question from the audience. Let's see if I can translate that quickly. What are there alternatives to even more emissioner? Vad heter det nu igen? Emissioner på engelska, jag tappade det.
Yeah, well, I cannot comment on that. Obviously,
kan du bara översätta?
Yeah, no, that I understand.
To ensure the finance of the Cantrixil study, Doxatel study, and the ongoing operations.
Well, with regard to running the operation, we have enough cash to pursue those operations according to the plan that are clearly defined now. Now, in terms of acquisitions, we will obviously need to look at other means of financing of the company.
Yeah. So I mean, you've already done. I mean, how many times have you gone to the market and asked for money?
I think the company went to the market last time was about close to 2 years ago, 18 months to 2 years ago.
Okay, so do you feel
Well, I cannot
safe with
comment. I cannot comment on that. You know,
No, of course, but how long are you financed?
Well, we have a
right now?
runway that would extend over the next 18 months.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And you also did a large write-down for your inventory. How come? What did you miss? The
Yeah,
products,
well,
they weren't as valuable as you thought they would be, or?
not really, no. As we all know, you know, the COVID situation did not help us. You know, we were planning to launch actually at the beginning of 2020. And obviously, with the COVID situation, we could not do it. And the shelf life of the product was the limitation, as simple as this. And then, you know, at the same time, we finalized the agreement with Elevar, license out, and then it took them some time, you know, to, well, basically, you know, to rearrange and to, I mean, the COVID situation didn't help. This has nothing to do with the confidence in the product. It's a question of shelf life.
Okay. Could there be more of the same that you had to write down your inventory even more, or are
well, I cannot comment on this one.
Okay.
Yes.
A question from the audience: the new indicators for Apalea, are they connected for the studies? So we can we expect it during 2021 or first part of 2022? Does that make
Indicators,
sense to you?
I'm not sure that I understand the words, but
new indicators for Apalea.
clearly, Elevar, that's in the hands of our partner Elevar. They will initiate seeking, you know, FDA guidance early next year, and you can expect the trials to start next year as well. I mean, it's important to, you know, the key in oncology is not to jump onto a trial. It's important to properly define the right kind of trial and get an FDA approval. Well, let's say into brackets, into quotes, an FDA consent, you know, on those kind of clinical trial design, which will enable you to be competitive. Okay, so, and this is exactly the reflection that Elevar had.
Okay, let's jump into the animal world. The question from the audience: what is the status of the hired company regarding sales or partnering around Advavet?
Yes, so I will comment once we have some news on this.
Okay, thank you. Classical question, but could you just give me some possible sceneries for Advavet in the future?
No, I cannot make any prediction, you know. I mean, the market will be informed once we will be in a partnering or in a divestment situation with regard to animal health business.
Settle with that. Thank you so much. So for the time being, how could you, given that Oasmia has been has changed quite a lot, and not only the recent years, but it's been a company founded in like 21 years ago. And for the time being, how would you describe the investment case?
Well, this is Oasmia 2.0, okay? And if you... Yeah, that's an important piece, you know. It has nothing to do with the Oasmia that was in place 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
So if
Sounds like you're not very content with the
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said that, you know, my mission is to build an a global oncology business. Okay, so this investment case is great. You know, I think I tried to demonstrate that through the successful completion of a phase 2B, you can create huge value. Okay, as opposed to become profitable, you know, as opposed to cash, you create value in the company. Okay, and then you can partner, and then this is where you can make money. Okay. So I'm very optimistic, you know, and of course, you know, I know that I need to deliver on the M&A and acquisitions. I know that, you know, this is a string of pearl strategy. But again, you know, it's important to licensing in or to acquire the right kind of company. It's not a matter of, okay, I can do this and this. No, it has to fit with our portfolio, with our skills internally, and with the overarching vision.
So this transformation process that you are leading right now, when would you say that it's
It's an evolving.
that, hey, let's celebrate. We're
It's
through.
an evolving process.
Yeah.
You see, so you do it step by step. It's a never-ending process.
Yes, of course, but the main transformation, you have
Well,
to say that
you know, I
sometimes
would
you have
say
to say
that,
that
you know,
now we're good. Let's focus on growth or something.
well, you know, if we would be acquire, you know, compounds and or companies, I would say maybe 2 in the next, you know, 18 months, 24 months. That could be, it's not the end. That would be just one further step forward.
Okay.
But again, this is an indicative, you know, don't quote me, don't, you know, I mean,
I will
it's
definitely quote you, Axel. Sorry.
yeah, but it's too easy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the main thing is to be consistent, be logical, you know, and implement. And this is what we are doing. I mean, I have the right team to do so. There is no reason why we should not be successful.
Okay. I like your attitude. So go for it. Thank you
you.
so much,
You're
Francois.
welcome, Linda.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank